pure research and applied research and specifically action research. If I continue narrating the differences, perhaps I just say that, look, in pure research, what we do is we ask questions and answer questions. You need not have to worry about the applications of those research. Newton, when he had seen the apple falling down, he himself had put a question like, why it is falling down, or what is the reason for it. He went on answering that question without even worrying about the application of his theory. I mean, in the pure or fundamental research, we should never ask what is supposed to be the application of my research. The concern is this question answered? If not answered, there must be some reason. What is that reason? I got to find out answer for unknown question. Whether it finds application. Look at it, just because you don't find any application for your theory or your research doesn't mean that it doesn't have an application at all. That shows your lack of knowledge on the problem, lack of knowledge on the application of the topic of your interest. Somebody may find it very useful for his own domain, no? If not now in this current generation, if you create a knowledge and keep it, available for others, one or the other day down the line, I'm sure the next generation will find some other application for that. Right? So in pure or fundamental research, Pythagorean never imagined that his theory or his theorem on right angle triangle, the relationship between the hypotenuse and the remaining sides of the right angle triangle will have tremendous application. So he never imagined, but he was a stick seller. While organizing the sticks, while arranging the sticks on the road, on the street, while selling them, he used to construct different shapes. And fortunately, he was caught by his guru, and then the guru took him and then mathematics and then shape theory. And based on that, he could come out with an interesting relationship between the longer side of a rectangle triangle with the remaining two sides. But today we have tremendous.
Right side again.
In case of you, Puneet, sir, please mute your audio. Okay, dear friends, keep your audio muted. Unless you are interested in talking to me, don't unmute your audio. Okay. However, you can keep your audio unmuted, provided you are sure that there is no noise in the background. So look at, in the case of applied research, unlike pure research, here it is a need-based. What is my current situation? What is really required for me to lead my life comfortable? And is the knowledge available? If knowledge related to that is available, make use of it, exploit the beauty of the available knowledge, and make sure that your problem in hand is well solved. Or on the other hand, you can also think of Puneet yaro avre? Okay. See, in case of applied research, the only thing is you are going to find out what is your current requirement. But when you solve that current requirement, then you are going to use all available knowledge. In case if knowledge is not available related to it, then it is your responsibility to move on to the pure fundamental research and create a knowledge base, make use of it, and solve the current requirement. So that's the difference between a pure and a applied. I mean, in pure, ask and answer questions, whereas in applied, you find a need and then answer it. Look at this, advances the knowledge, whereas this makes use of the knowledge. That doesn't mean that this pure research is greater. This pure research is great when compared to applied research. No, there is nothing like that. Pure research makes knowledge available, whereas applied research uses that knowledge, making the application really practically possible. That's very important, right? Just creating knowledge will not solve the problem. Making use of it and make sure that it is deployable. That is what is the beauty of applied research. So applied research uses some knowledge, while doing so, right, it solves an application in end. Need not be original. It could be an integration. It could be an assimilation. But that the one which is pure will stay for a long time, but it has a greater impact and general work. It is original research. So while doing so, sometimes it happens that, because of non-availability of knowledge to attend to your requirement, you may have to think of giving it a new theoretical framework, and that new theoretical framework will lead to what is called pure research. This is how the pure and applied research will go hand in hand, one by other. So they go hand in hand. They exchange knowledge and ideas, and they go hand in hand. I mean, just because I do some theoretical work, I am great, and you do practical work, you're not great, or I do practical work, I am great, but not. No, there shall not be any such barrier. So look at, no clear separation between pure and applied. Both are really, and they are overlapping. There is nothing like strictly it is applied. There is nothing like strictly it is pure, and they are overlapping, right? It's a mixture of both. The best thesis is supposed to be the one where a couple of chapters in the thesis talk about pure research of the topic chosen. I mean, creating knowledge, new knowledge. Whereas the couple of 3 or more chapters talk about the application of that. And most of the IITs, Indian institutes, IIM, for that matter, national institutes, theses are well received outside because those, IIT's products are tagged with industry work. The academicians work in IIT labs will create a new knowledge, whereas industry people will make use of this new knowledge to make the real problem solved, real problem solved. So hence the thesis will have both chapters, couple of chapters on theoretical aspects and whereas couple of chapters on the application aspect of the problem. So even Western countries thesis, generally every supervisor attach research scholars with the industry work so that the scholars will have exchange of knowledge, and thesis will have both. So I mean, there is nothing like a clear separation between pure and applied, and the best is the one which talk about both the type of work, and there shall not be any controversy, at least in our mind, in the minds of researchers. Okay. In any case, whether you do fundamental or you do applied or you do action research, in any case, you see that your research is innovative. Research is supposed to be innovative. What do you mean by innovative? In what sense I call it as innovative? If it makes some improvement. If it makes some improvement, then I call it as an innovative. If it introduces something new, it's fine. If it devises a new method of solving a problem, or if it exploits successfully new idea, if not new idea, take up a old idea which you have studied in your school education and exploit the beauty of that old idea which you have practiced in your high school education for current requirement, right? For current problem. That is also wonderful research. It exploits successfully the beauty of ideas. All in all, I expect it to be something like creative in the sense that there must be a new dimension of performance. Most of the times, I just have heard of people telling that, when I had asked the question, why do you want to do research? And most of the people say that I want to serve the society. I want to do something for the society. No, I'm sorry. Don't ever say that when you start your PhD or research. Don't ever say that I want to do something for the society. First, try to do something for your performance, right? After completion of PhD, the teacher who was teaching earlier to PhD and the teacher who teaches after PhD, if you take the difference, the way in which you used to teach earlier to your PhD, the way in which you teach your students now after PhD, the authority with which you used to deliver your lecture earlier to your PhD, and the authority with which you are now delivering your goods to the students after PhD, and if you see the difference should be considerably big. Then only I say that your research has contributed something to you first. See that your research adds up some new dimension to your personality. Then you can think of later, right? Contributing something big to the society. That's the second question. But see that your research will make you something extra personality. Earlier you were with 5 parameters, now you are with an added dimension of performance as the 6th one. In all sense, you have become a complete personality. That's what I say. It creates something, a new dimension of performance to a researcher. Look, all in all, a research is innovative because it is expected to be contributory. Finally, I have to contribute something to myself first, and then to literature, and then to the society. So in that case, I say the research is contributory. Why should we, the teachers, do research? That doing research doesn't mean that I teach mathematics for the last 20 years. I got to do research only in mathematics. No. You can do research on psychology of students understanding mathematics. You can do research on, the interest of student hearing your lecture for 3 hours continuously. You can do classroom research, a philosophy on mathematics, or research on philosophical mathematics, research on student ability in understanding mathematics. Need not do only on, research in mathematics. So a teacher is whole and soul. Teacher is responsible for most of the things. Look, teacher should never commit a mistake. Even if he commits a mistake unknowingly, should be in a position, should never hesitate to correct it back and bring it to the notice of the students that yesterday I committed this mistake, please correct it. There is nothing like that, no hesitation, nothing. Because teacher is also a human being. You are used to commit a mistake. In case if that is noticed, then you should have that open mind to correct yourself and just to notify that, look at, please, dear students, I committed this mistake yesterday in my lecture, please correct this, and this is how, what is that, and so on. Look, that's teacher. In order to be effective, in order to be so inspiring, you have got to unknowingly do research. Without research, you cannot be effective in your delivery. Without research, you cannot be in the front line of your topic of teaching. If I teach some topic today, in order to be well versed with it, today, look, dear friends, everything is available on Google. The only difference between we, the teachers, and the student is, yesterday I had seen Google. Today, students are looking at the Google. I mean, we are just one day ahead of our students. No, that should not happen. Not even one semester ahead of our students. Right? Well prepared before the semester and then go on delivering. What is the necessity of your involvement? You should be something beyond Google. Google gives you something ready-made, but you have to think of something extra out of ready-made, a creative. In order to be creative, you have to be into research. Look, you build tomorrow. I, being a teacher responsible for tomorrow, I got to create, I got to motivate my students. I got to, I got to create some vibrations in the brain of youngsters. Look, in order to create such vibrations, even in the dullest brain in my lecture hall, right? If I teach about 30 students, I don't like anybody to be, sleeping. I want even the dullest student to be vibrant, sitting in my lecture hall. To rise up to that level of delivery, I get to be into what is called research. Research can make you experience, research can make you wise, and research can boost up my confidence. Research can make my personality complete in all sense, right? Then I will be an excellent teacher. Then I consider myself as a successful teacher. To be successful, look, I got to inspire student. So I should allow my students to think big in their perspective. I should grow, I should allow them to grow big in their own pursuit. I should see that they perform big in their future life. In order to see that my students will be big in all sense, I got to be inspiring teacher. In order to be inspiring teacher, first of all, I got to be successful. The successful teacher is supposed to be ever in research. See, friends, suppose during my service period for the 35 years, for example, or 40 years of service, every year, if I am producing 50 students, right? If I serve for about 30 years, then totally I produce 1,500 students in my service. Out of 1,500 students, at least 100 of them, right? If not 100, at least 10 of them should be internationally reputed, known for their contributions. Those 10 should say that, should remember that I because of so and so teacher, I am today. If at least 10 out of 1,000, not even 10%, I'm talking about 10 out of 1,000, I mean 1 out of 100, 1% of my students one day end up saying that because of so and so I am today, then I am successful. Look at least 2% to 5% students are of nationally reputed, then fine. At least 10% of the students are state-wise reputed, local, region-wise reputed, wishing you that, very great, sir. Then I say you are successful. Otherwise, we are not successful. In order to be successful in teaching profession, irrespective of my topic of delivery, irrespective of my, fields of teaching interest, I get to get into what is unknowingly called. Look, research is being done not only by human being, even donkeys are known for research. Buffaloes are known for research. Every day, the moment they go out of the residence, towards field, they do research unknowingly. Ants are known for research. In fact, from a source to a destination, ants are going in a straight line. You just look at, they walk all along the, on the wall. When they move on the wall from particular point to particular, they don't go like this. They move straight. I mean, ants are so good in finding out the shortest path between source and a distance. Ants have understood the straight line is the minimum distance covering from source to a destination, right? But our mathematics says the same thing. Look at, ants are really good at doing research. In fact, in computer science, for your information, we have ants optimization theory, right? In order to optimize my searching process, right? I got to find a source, a path leading from Mysore to Delhi on a graph. You think of a graph where vertices are nothing but the cities and edges are nothing but the connectivity, road connectivity. Mysore is connected to Bangalore, Bangalore is connected to Hyderabad, Hyderabad is connected to Delhi, and Mysore is connected to Bangalore, Bangalore to Chennai, Chennai to Visakhapatnam, Visakhapatnam to Delhi. So then the question is now, which is the best path? Which is the minimum path to reach Delhi from Mysore? Then I got to optimize my search, searching for possible connectivity. There I use what is called ants optimization algorithm. Look at, ants are known for great contribution in the nature. Look, nature drives us. Understanding the science hidden in the nature, understanding what is being hidden in the nature is what is called research, right? So one has got to do it, especially the teacher should do unknowingly research. Research doesn't mean that you have to enroll for PhD and carry it out. No, not necessarily. But keep in mind, you're always an active learner. You are ever green in learning. That spirit has got to be inculcated. And that is possible only when you are into the research activity. So now it's a time to touch upon the different categories of research. Let me present in on my style, though there are basically different ways, of categorizing the research. But basically, I categorize the research into three classes. One is exploratory class of research. Another one is a constructive class of research. Yet another is an empirical type of research. Exploratory, name itself says that, this type of research is to explore possible avenues for further research. Think a lot, like Ramanujan. If anybody is from mathematics background, teaching mathematics, you must have heard of Ramanujan, right? What did he do? Of course, he has contributed a lot to the mathematics. In addition to that, he has made a list of possible opening questions in mathematics. Even today, if you go to the Department of Mathematics in Manasa Gangotri of University of Mysore, if there are about 10 professors offering courses on mathematics, and I'm sure at least 40% of them, 4 to 5%, 4 to 5 people, professors I mean, would end up saying that I've been researching on topics explored by Ramanujan, right? And I mean, the professor says that I'm attending to 21st problem stated by Ramanujan. Somebody says that I'm attending 7th problem stated by Ramanujan. What do you mean by that? Ramanujan has explored possible opening questions in mathematics. Look, it's quite an interesting, interesting thing. If you can come out with a thesis by the end of 3 years, where every chapter in the thesis, let's assume that the thesis has 3 chapters, and each chapter explains 2 different problems which are opening questions for others to work on. It's not good enough to just make a list or make a statement of a problem, but you have got to justify why that problem is still an open question for others to work on. What are the different parameters which has really made that problem challenging? Why is it really worth researching or not? Why? You have got to ask questions. And all such things have got to be, tagged with, got to be associated with the problem and explain 2 such different problems with synthetic, with real data or synthetic data, or with experimentation, with some mathematics, anything, canvassing that. These are still open questions, not yet attended, not yet solved by others. So worth doing research. And that could be a wonderful thesis, because if every chapter has got 2 questions, and if there are 3 chapters totally have 6 topics for 6 other researchers to work on, then all those 6 researchers will cite your thesis, right? Will appreciate reading through your thesis. Look at that, could be a good material for the next generation. So that is what is called exploratory type of research. Constructive type of research. In exploratory type of research, you explore the problem to work further. Whereas in constructive research, take up your known problem and attend to that and find a solution to it. And that's what is called, I mean, constructing solution to the problem. Whereas in the case of empirical, the solution is constructed, right? Solution is developed, but the developed solution may not be, practically shown to be or demonstrated to be viable, feasible. What is the feasibility of that solution found, constructed for a known problem? Then see that it is taken into what is called practicality. See that the application in hand is practically possible, viable, and such a type of research is what is called empirical research. See, Newton explored a problem and constructed a solution, came out with theory, stopped it. And we are physicists especially have taken into empirical, right? Pythagorean, similar. On the other hand, look at C.V. Raman, the great Indian who could, get, the Nobel Prize, the first non-whiteist who could grab the Nobel Prize to science. The first Indian was Rabindranath Tagore for literature, right? A non-whiteist who could grab the Nobel Prize for science first was the C.V. Raman. And because of his, we are celebrating what is called Science Day, right? National Science Day on 28th of February, right? So what did he do? He explored a problem while he was traveling across Atlantic Ocean. He could explore a problem. Not only that, and then came back and constructed a solution. And not only that, and finally practically demonstrated that, the scattering of light. Look at, he has done all the 3. That doesn't mean that, one has got to do all the 3. One can do only exploratory, one can do only constructive, one can do only empirical, and some can start with exploratory, go with constructive, and then stop. Or one can take up the known problem without doing an exploratory, but start with a constructive research and end up with the empirical, right? Any 2 of these, all the 3 of these, that could be wonderful. Look, friends, basically, these are the 3 categories of research. Though besides, we call some research as field research. Farmers are known for research, Every day in the morning, they do research. They just look at the sky and then environment. By the end of a day, they look at the environment and say that, oh, today we may have a heavy rain, right? We may not have a rain at all. Statisticians predictive models we are using, but farmers have been doing it for the long years. They are known for research, right? Farmers do field research. Teachers do classroom research, right? The literature people like Kuvempu, Bhairappa, right? Shakespeare, they were known for what? Library research. They used to read many books, and then doing what is called agglomeration of all, association of all, and then come out with a new storybook, a new book, adding into a library. That is what is called library research, right? Laboratory research. In fact, C.V. Raman, though he has done all the 3 types of research, 3 categories, but basically his research was a laboratory research. I mean, you can also categorize, you can also label the research looking at the physical place where research, maximum part of the research is carried out. If I spend longer time in the, in the library, then I say it is a library research. If I spend longer time in the classroom to conduct my research, then I say classroom research. If I spend longer time in the field, then it is called field. I mean, the research can also be labeled like a field, lab, library, whatnot, based on the physical location where researcher spends maximum time while attaining the research. Okay, beside this. For that matter, there's nothing like, any solved problem. Even if a problem is solved, as long as you have got an original thinking, as long as your brain thinks in different way, the way in which others have not thought of, I'm sure that you can give it a new dimension, because you are capable of pursuing the problem, though it has already been solved, in a new direction. As long as perception angle differs, I'm sure you will have a new outcome. Look, for example, if I quote, I think it's the right time to quote my, one generally quote an example like, you must have heard of Lord Shiva, Lord Shiva. Picturize the Lord Shiva. Picturize the Lord Shiva. When you picturize the Lord Shiva, my question is the following. Do you think that the Lord Shiva wears dress like doctors, engineer, A teacher? No, he's off-dressed. He's off-dressed. And what is the color of Shiva? It's like a mud color. And what does he have on his head, on his head? On his Gange. He has also got moon, moon. Why? The reason is that moon is something which is required very much by a farmer. Because they want to secure their land, during night, they require some type of torch. That is what is called moon. And farmers really badly require water. That's what is called Gange. And farmers wear off dress, not like me wearing fully, not like a doctor, not like a policeman, not like a engineer, but like farmer. Look at when farmer wanted to have creation of a god. Look at that research topic is GOD. Farmer tackled that problem called GOD. When they wanted to picturize the notion of God, they thought of a picture called Shiva. Shiva is the one, a god, a super, power who can contribute, who can give us whatever we want. What we want? We want moon in the night. We want, Gange, water. We want what is called, what is his vehicle? Is it Innova car? No. The vehicle of Shiva is not Innova car. It's not aeroplane. It is what is called ox, right? It is what is called ox. Ox means what? It is the vehicle of farmer only. If farmer wants to move from a position to a position, some place to a place, then he just say puja to what is called Shiva. Shiva should be in a position to provide that. Then his vehicle is supposed to be ox only. And where does he sleep? He sleeps on a mat. Mat is nothing but, skin of an animal. Where does he sleep? He sleeps in what is called field. Smashana, you say, right? Rudrabhumi, you say. He sleeps over there because farmer sleeps always in the forest. That is what is called Shiva. Farmer could not think of beyond their limitations, beyond their resources. And they have conducted, right? They just have picturized what is called Shiva. And they wanted Shiva to have additional hand, And farmer dances 2 times. One during harvesting season, happy, very happy, right? Harvesting season, right? They dance like, they celebrate it. And farmer also dance when the farmer is very poor, That's why Shiva is known for dancing. Shiva is, what is this way, tool? Trishula. Like, whatever the tool being used by the farmer, But on the other hand, look at Vishnu. Picturize the Vishnu. Vishnu is known for what? Wealth. Vishnu was created by business people. Because what is the vehicle of Vishnu? Not like ox. He flies, Garuda, he flies. Aeroplane, he flies. What is his tool? Chakra, remote. He can control people by remote. Where does he sleep? On a snake. That's not snake. It is a cushion bed, It's a cushion bed, a spring affected cushion bed. Vishnu is a representative of business class people, whereas Shiva is a representative of farmer class people. So look, the same topic called GOD, attained by farmer, attained by business people, but the end instances are totally different. The picturizations of the notion of God is totally has become different because the resources are different. The backgrounds of business people is, when compared to farmers, is totally different. Backgrounds are different. As long as you are in a different background, as long as you are original in thinking, as long as you have got a different resources, even if a solved problem is given to you, I'm sure you will end up with a different outcome, which is also canvassed. That's what is the beauty of diversification of thinking. Look, don't ever say that this problem is already tackled. There is nothing, no scope for this. But make sure that you are original, you are individual. As long as you exhibit individuality, I'm sure even a well-solved problem can still be solved in a different style. That's what is the different types of or categories of research. So if I sum up my lecture, which I just have spoken out for the last roughly about 2 hours, called research process. Research process begins with what is called formulation of the topic. Where you have to make your motivation, purpose, objectives, scopes, everything very clear. Once you have formulated the topic, then you go for generating the hypothesis. I told you already. What is hypothesis? An educated guess. Guess towards solution. Imagine towards solution. But while doing so, make use of your background of education. So such an educated guess is what is called hypothesis. Generally, I recommend my students especially don't go with one hypothesis at a time. Generate multiple hypotheses and explore them in parallel. Even if you are not successful in one or the other two, at least you become successful in one or the other, right? So that you can go with thesis writing, because PhD is a time-bounded work, time-limited work. Research is no end, but for PhD there must be a bound. Because of that, you explore multiple hypotheses simultaneously and work towards this. How do I generate hypotheses? Basically, we have two types of learning. One is called inductive learning, other one is called deductive learning. So inductive principle helps you in understanding every specific cases, and then out of specific cases you assimilate all knowledge and come out with a general theory. That is what is called inductive knowledge. Inductive knowledge takes you from specialization to generalization, whereas deductive knowledge takes you from generalization back to specialization. I mean, use Pythagorean theorem in general and substitute your example over there and get the problem solved. Whereas Pythagorean did not do that. While coming out with such a theory, he has understood every individual instances, specific instances, 10, 20 examples. Having understood 10, 20 examples, he has come out with a general theory. That is what is called inductive principle, right? So these are the friends, these are the two major ways of learning. One is inductive way of learning, other one is a deductive way of learning. So though they appear to be dual, reversible, right? I mean, inductive moves from specialization to generalization, whereas this works from generalization to special. Though appear to be dual, I mean, reversible each other, but the end product is not necessarily same. I mean, I have a topic. You can approach the topic in an inductive way. One can approach the topic in a deductive way. That doesn't mean that both end products should be same. So hence, they cannot be treated to be duals, right? In order to say something is a dual of another, A is a dual of B, so the output should be same, but A works in reverse of B, that's all. But here, though they appear to be working in reverse, but end results are not necessarily same. Hence, this inductive and deductive principles are not dual to each other. So once you have generated the hypothesis, then you have to establish it. Once you could imagine, then you have to prove it. In order to prove that, you have two ways. One is collect the data, analyze the data, conduct the experiment, analyze the data in possible ways, and then try to prove it through demonstration. Or else you set and build up the mathematics, build up the theories. Newton built up mathematics. He never demonstrated practically all three theories, but he has given good enough mathematics to convince people, correct mathematics to understand that, right? That's what is called proving the hypothesis. I mean, basically we have two types. One is based on theory or based on gathering data, analyzing data, and then practically demonstrating it. Look, sometimes it happens that I just have predicted my hypothesis. I just have come out with my hypothesis. Then I go for gathering data and then analyzing the data. However, I did analysis of data. Unfortunately, I could not prove my hypothesis. Then what's my conclusion? My conclusion doesn't necessarily mean that I come out with a wrong hypothesis. It could be because of lack of data. I have not collected the data in a proper way. I have not collected the complete data. Then what do? I go for regathering. Please understand, it's not gathering. It is a regathering or regathering. Then once I have regathered the data, there is some added data, and I have to filter out some unwanted data, right? Refiltering. Then analyze the data, reanalyze, regather, reanalyze, regather, reanalyze, try to prove it. If not, go back, regather, reanalyze, try to prove it, reprove it, etc., etc. Continue, do it in a loop till what? Till you could prove the hypothesis, or you are convinced that the data gathering is exhaustive and data analysis is also exhaustive. No more gathering of data, no more analysis of data is possible. Then you have come to a conclusion that either your hypothesis is established or your hypothesis cannot be established. However, I try it, then I have to re-hypothesize. Then what do you have to do? You go back, look at here. Here is a loop: gathering, analyzing, and demonstrating. Regathering, reanalyzing, demonstrating. Here is a loop, repetition. And then go back. In case if you are unable to know, if you are unable to prove the hypothesis, go back, re-hypothesize your problem. Rehypothesize. Please understand. It is you are searching for solution. While searching for solution, you are researching, you are regathering, reanalyzing. Here is one smaller loop of gathering data, analyzing data, and demonstrating. You do it in many times, multiple times. And then if you are still unsuccessful, you go back to outer loop. One loop is here repeating. Then once you are convinced that I cannot do it, then go back, rehypothesize your work and do again. Look at again, come back, do it, do here. I mean, entire research process is a nested two loops, a smaller loop inside a bigger loop. This repeats sometimes, this repeat many times, and because of this, not one time search you do in this process, you do multiple times of search. And because of that, I'm sure this entire process, because of these two nested loops of searching, it is called researching. Look, this entire process is called research. Hope you understood why it is called research. Why it is the term called re is added up. It's prefix to over here. That's the reason for calling it as research. Research is basically a nested two loops. A smaller loop working at the data level, and bigger loop, outer loop working at hypothesis level. Once you could prove the hypothesis, go with the conclusion. Otherwise, you revise the hypothesis, right? Now you are done with your research. Once you are done with your research, the most important thing that you should never neglect is what is called documentation, right? Documentation is very important. Without documenting properly your research finding is of no use. However good your research findings are, those research findings are of no use unless you properly document them. So documentation is the toughest part of any research for that matter. In my opinion, though I am a senior most researcher, even today I find it very difficult to document the research process, right? Because my scholar does something new, but the moment the scholar reports to me with the documentation, I really hesitate spending longer time to sit and correct the document because it's such a tough job. Look, in case if HRDC of Mysore requests me to give another 1 hour of lecture tomorrow on the same topic, I don't mind giving a lecture. Why 1 hour? Even for 3 hours, I don't mind. I say yes. But on the other hand, if HRDC in case puts a restriction that you are supposed to produce a document of your lecture of 3 hours, then I will never accept it. The reason is documenting things is really tougher than delivering things. But unfortunately for a researcher, in order to publicize, in order to circulate the ideas across globe, across contemporary researchers, there is no oral presentation always. You have to document it and see that document is shared across so that if somebody reads it up, he becomes as experienced as myself in the topic of my discussion. That is the beauty of what is called documentation. Documentation should be done pakka. So basically there are two types of documents we are talking about. One is publishing document, the other one is manual document. Publishing document is a document which is created for the purpose of publishing my idea. I mean, I want to circulate, right? I want to circulate my ideas. I want to propagate it across my contemporary researchers. For the purpose of circulating my ideas, I create a document, and such a document is what is called publishing. On the other hand, I create a document about my research because my research has come out with a product. That product has got to be delivered to the end users, and end users should be educated on how to use my product. Sometimes I write a document, I create a document for the purpose of educating end users. When I come out with such a document for the purpose of educating end users, then the document is called manual. I mean, when you buy a new television, you will get all along some book, When you buy a cell phone, you get a small manual, That is, when you buy a two-wheeler, when you buy a car, four-wheeler, you'll get some manual. I mean, some book, That is what is a manual. Why is that? It is to make you educated on how to make use your product, how to use car, how to drive car, what are the different components of that, and so on. In order to give some knowledge on that, that such documents are created. So basically, research involves two types of documents. One is publishing, another one is manual. So My simple question is now, success in research largely depends on what? Largely depends on supervisor, largely depends on topic of discussion, and who is responsible for the success? Researcher is responsible. I mean, the success in research largely depends on ability of the researcher, understanding of the researcher, domain knowledge of the researcher, commitment of the researcher, love and affinity of the researcher towards the problem. Please read it again. The success in research largely depends on love and affinity that the researcher has towards the problem. You must love your problem, right? Or you must have a feeling that you got married to the problem or married with the problem. Once you have that a feeling, please take it in a broad mind. Marriage doesn't mean that in a narrow sense of what your conventional marriage. Here, a researcher should have a feeling that I love my problem. I am married to that, right? So once I am married, look at personally, the moment I got married, then I am blessed with 2 children. And not only that, I am blessed with 2 children. Now I am in search of good school for my children because I want my children to be a better citizen tomorrow. I go in search of good school. I just see that they get admitted and see that they become, good citizens tomorrow, right? And I make sure that my kids are well appreciated. My kids are well received by my contemporaries, right? That is what is the responsibility of a researcher. Here, soon after I have taken up a problem, I must feel that I am married to that. Then it is my responsibility. I should love, and because of this love and affinity with the problem, brain children have got to be generated. Brain children, ideas have got to be generated. They are my children, and those children have got to be publicized in reputed school. I mean, reputed journals. The moment they are published in reputed journal, all contemporary researchers will appreciate my kids, my brain children, right? Look, because of this marriage, children are generated, and I must make sure that those children are well appreciated by others. This is the responsibility of a researcher. If you really want your research to be very success, right, then you should love your topic. You should see that you are dedicated for it. You are committed for it. The way in which the moment you got married, you are committed for that girl or for that boy, right? For your spouse in general. That is the spirit of a researcher, right? Then you may have a question. What is that? Sir, if you say that the success in research largely depends only on the ability, understanding, domain knowledge, and commitment of the researcher, what is the role of supervisor then? Right? What is the role of supervisor? Then I say that role of supervisor is like a parent. Who conducts the marriage? Who conducts the marriage? The parent. That parent is called supervisor. I mean, supervisor should not be hurry in assigning a problem to the student. Just because I got my son, and the moment he ages up to 21, do you think that I just see that he gets married to any girl? No. I go in search of a suitable girl, I mean, my son, I know the taste of my son. Having understood the requirement of my son and his nature, I go in search of a suitable girl. And then see that I conduct the marriage at the right time. I mean, I wait till my son gets mature, my daughter gets mature, then only I plan for their marriage. Similarly, yeah, I should give my research scholar good enough training, and I see that my scholar gets matured. And while giving him a training, I got to understand his interest. Oh, does he love mathematics? If he doesn't love mathematics, I should not find a topic which involves great mathematics. If he loves mathematics very much than programming of computers, then I should find a topic which requires more mathematics and less programming. Then only he enjoys his life, Look at the supervisor is so responsible in conducting marriage, it is right pay. Yes, for a researcher, a suitable problem should be assigned. Otherwise, he will find it very difficult and divorce will happen. I should see that the divorce will not happen at least for 3 to 4 years, so that the researcher will complete the topic. That is what is called the role of supervisor. Philosophically, if I technically say that the research supervisor should concentrate more into documentation, because scholars are really good at conducting experiment, thinking a lot, because they are dynamic. But unfortunately, they are not that experienced to come out with a Pakka documentation. Pakka documentation means what? See, I want to draw a picture of Lord Ganesha. What do? I take a piece of, a pencil and a piece of paper. I draw a picture of Lord Ganesha, which exists in my mind. The moment I finish, drawing of Lord Ganesha, somebody should not say that it is an elephant. Hope you understand. Okay, otherwise I got to write beneath that figure, it is Lord Ganesha, so that the people will not look at the picture, look at the text data which I have written, so that they understand it is Lord Ganesha. That is what is called documentation. I mean, whatever you want to reflect, the same thing has got to be reflected. If somebody reads it, should be able to get exactly the same, without plus, without minus. No extra misunderstanding, misleading, no missing information. So that is what is called Pakka documentation. I want to convey X. X has got to be conveyed as X only, not X plus epsilon, not even X minus epsilon. There shall not be any missing. There shall not be any misleading additional. There must be exactly same. That is what is called documentation. Friends, it's really challenging even for a senior most researcher like me to come out with such a effective Pakka documentation to publicize my ideas. So obviously, research scholars find it very difficult. It is a responsibility of a research supervisor to give them good enough time and to sit with them and documenting properly the research ideas, right? So there are possibly the following types of documents which we are talking about, called proposals. As the name itself indicates, proposals, it is proposing. I mean, I say that, girl proposes a boy or boy proposes a girl, similarly, it is a proposal. Researcher proposes, I want to do this. This is my plans. This is my plans of actions, To do this, I want this support. Okay. And these are the things which I want to pursue. That's what is called proposal. Proposal is a document which simply clearly states about plans of actions during the period of research. Whereas abstract is a compressed way of putting accomplishments, or compressed way of putting things to be accomplished. That's what is called abstract. I mean, in proposal, what do you want to work on? Whereas in abstract, what did you do, or how did you do, right? In case of synopsis, you just extend the abstract. In abstract, you explain what you are accomplished or what you are planning to accomplish. But in synopsis, you have got to explain what are the procedure, what are the tools to be adopted, how do you tackle that, what is expected outcome, what are the real research findings to be discovered, right? These are all the things to be added up into abstract documents so that it becomes synopsis. Generally, synopsis and proposals are used synonym, identically. Not necessarily true. Proposal is something, only a plan of action, whereas synopsis is an extended version of that. And now, finally, once you have done some amount of research work, then you go with what is called transforming your knowledge to others. While transforming your knowledge to others, one is like conducting classes, explaining them. Other one is preparing document, hand over the document, publicize that. Then those are called research papers for publication. Finally, by the end of your research period, after 3 to 4, 5 years, you come out with a report writing. That report is supposed to be a detailed container. A detailed container in the sense that it should speak both negative and positive aspects of your research, because you are the creator, you are the parent of that idea. You know much better than anybody. I know better than anybody about my son, because I am the parent of him. I have been watching him. So you are the parent of your research. You know better than anybody. You should know both positive, and negative aspects of it. Both have got to be, detailed in a report. I mean, if somebody reads your thesis, he must become, look, you have taken 5 years to complete thesis, but if somebody spends only 5 months to read your full thesis, by the end of 5th month, he should be as knowledgeable as you, as experienced as you in the topic of discussion. Then I say your thesis is a detailed container or a detailed report on the topic of discussion. So that's what is called a thesis. So paper publication, why do we publish paper? Because it's a measure, it's a way to measure our research outcome. More the number of papers I publish, quantitatively I have done good enough work. Qualitatively, not necessarily. I mean, the number of publications talk about the amount of research work I have done. But sometimes it is Pythagorean, only one paper, but more popular. Newton has created only 3 theories, but in my thesis, I spoken about, I talked about 10 contributions, but no one is really cited well. But Newton has contributed only 3 theories. Look at only 3 publications. Pythagorean had only 1 publication. I mean, it's not that the number of publication which talk about the quality. The number of publication talk about the quantity of work, right? But where is it published? Who are the publishers? Who are the reviewers involved in that publication, right? Who are the experts reviewed and accepted my publication? That talks about the quality of my work. I mean, anyway, paper publication is a way to measure the success of my research, both quantitatively and qualitatively, right? So basically, we talk about 2 types of publications. One is journal level, peer review. Another one is conference proceedings. In conference proceedings, sometimes we do that, there is a call for paper. You can submit your paper by the end of, let's say now it is October, not by the end of November, you can, communicate your paper. Then you prepare one draft of your paper and communicate to the conference organizer. Suddenly you will get a mail today, email, stating that, your paper is accepted for presentation. You come and present your paper on 25th of December. Conference is in the month of December. Your paper notification, call for paper, is notified today, and deadline is November last. Then you submit a paper on November 30th. Your paper gets accepted by December 1st. You will get a message on December 2nd, and then you get ready to present your paper last week of December. No review. That's not publication. But the interest of such organizers is that providing a common platform where all of you can go together and make your work, present it, so that others will come to know about your work. You will come to know about others' work. So you can discuss together and refine your work so that quality improves. That's the interest behind that. Okay. Another type of conference is that, the conference will be in the month of February. Now I give a call for paper notification, and the deadline is end of, November, and paper will be reviewed in the month of December. In January, I'll get a notification, and every paper will be accepted. But you'll get some criticize, some comments, but not so critical. But still, they say that your papers have been accepted. Please come and make a presentation. While presenting your paper, come prepared well for this comments, these questions, and revise your work, redraft your paper, and submit your revised version. That's what is called reviewed but not critical. That's a second level of conference. Even such proceedings cannot be treated to be publications. The third level is indexed conferences. We call it today because of technology. What is happening there? The conference notification will be at least 2 years in advance. This is in October 2020. The conference will take place in October 2022. 2 years, 24 months well in advance. He sets up a deadline. Next July, I mean after 8 months, you will have deadline to submit your paper. You can plan your research, work for the new objective as per our requirement, as far as scope is concerned. Think of a new objective, think of a new tool, think of a new procedure, right? All in all, you think in a different style, new way, and take up a problem, solve it, then draft the paper, communicate the paper to the conference. You will have 8 months in advance. Then they take about 3 months to review the paper. At least 3 reviewers will review the paper, and based on the review comments of those 3 reviewers, I mean totally 8 plus 3, 11 months. 12th month, next October 21, I will get a message stating that your paper has been reviewed by so and so many people, and they have raised the following questions. They put this negative comment, positive comment, everything. Now, can you revise your work and resubmit your paper? You take another 4 months. So already 12, now 4 more months, 16 months. I mean, next 22 March is the deadline to revise and submit my paper. Then some of the papers get rejected, right? Again, this revised version will be given back to the same reviewers. They take another 2 to 3 months, So 16 plus 3, 19 months. In the 20th month, I'll get a message. In spite of you are given enough time to revise your work and reconduct your experimentation, your paper is not superbly written. Sorry that your paper is rejected. However, we welcome you to come to the conference. For some people, we really found your paper superbly written and you addressed all the comments of the reviewers. Your paper is accepted. Please come and make, present your work. So next 3 months, by the time you prepare a complete camera ready and communicate, then when you go to the conference, I mean in the year 2022, your paper gets published, and that is what is called publication, right? In a similar sense, journal publication happens, right? Journal paper happens, ideas and support, complete system, 2 levels, full work and idea work. Now idea checking, these are called letters type of journals. These are called transaction types of journals. So it is exactly like conference, indexed conference. They take their own time to review. At least 3 reviewers will be there, 2 reviewers minimum will be there, and if both of them raise some questions, then you will be communicated back about the comments. You will be given enough time to revise your work and resubmit. So author will submit to the editor of the journal. Editor of the journal will identify the suitable experts in the related topic, and they read through your paper and make a comment, and those comments will be communicated back to the editor. Editor will get back to you with those comments. Again, you are expected to resubmit after revision. Take your own time, resubmit, no time bound. Again, he will communicate back to those reviewers. Reviewers will give you the comments again. They may not be happy now, they give you again. This takes place. Revising. Please try to understand, right? Revising. Now this goes. Whereas in the case of conference, you'll be given only one time opportunity. Whereas in case of journal, as long as your work appears to be original, as long as your work appears to be novel, and however poorly written, if it is technically shown to be strong, it is guaranteed that you will have enough scope to revise your work and resubmit, but iteratively, it takes longer time. And one day, if reviewers are happy, you will get a message stating that your work is accepted. If you are, in spite of it, reviewer is unhappy, then you will get a message that your paper is rejected, not for acceptable, right? So this is how we publish papers, both in conferences and in journal. But anyway, publication is a method of measuring the success of research, both quantitatively and qualitatively. So what are the characteristics of a good publication? What are the different points that a reviewer look at? Basically, we look at the 7 interesting points. Number 1, novelty. Novelty means originality. What is yours? What was not thought by others, right? How did you think differently? That is what is called novelty, right? If the novelty is very poor, paper gets rejected, especially in journal. If the novelty is marginal, you will have a scope to revise your work. If novelty is strong, guarantee that your paper gets accepted. It's only a matter of revision for smoothening your language, right? The relevance. What is does it suit my scope? My journal has got some aims and scope, so your work should suit that. That's called relevance. Only a checking, verification. A reference to prior work. How much literature you read through, in what way your work is something different from literature, that you have to canvas. It's not that the reviewers will read through literature and then find whether your work is good or not. You have got to canvas with the support of some reference to the earlier work literature. You have got to cite your. And then clarity of presentation. Clarity of presentation means whether your work is presented well or not, so that readers find it very easy to read and grasp it. Linguistic quality is looked at here. How did you use English? What is the beauty of English that you have used, right? In case if the journal goes with English language, how did you exploit the beauty of English? Linguistic quality is equally important. So clarity of presentation is that, whether it is well written or not written, poorly written. If so, where are the typo errors, typographical errors, grammatical errors, everything has got to be. Technical correctness, the way in which you argued your result, the way in which you have justified your hypothesis, should be technically strong. And how did you validate your work? What data you collected? How big data you collected? How much voluminous it is, right? And how many types of experiments you conducted? How exhaustive it is? It decides what is called validation. If validation is true, very strong, and technical correctness is good, however, it is purely presented. If the literature coverage is good and it belongs to the scope of our journal with considerably good novel originality, obviously your paper suits or deserves acceptance. Then they look at what is the impact of this work. In case if it appears in my journal, how many people does it disturb? Limited or considerable, right? Impact factor of a journal is different. This is about how much your work impacts on others. Once it is published, if somebody reads it, whether he gets disturbed because of your contribution or not, gets motivated or not, that is what is called impact. If that impact is high, I'm sure that it's only a matter of time and only iteration of revising your work, your paper will definitely get accepted, right? These are the 7 important characteristics that every reviewer look at. In addition to this, we look at some other, based on the domain of your topic, related domain, applications and literature, we look at different parameters, but these are the common parameters, a major parameters, which are 7 in number. Now, if I just talk about the format of a good paper, the format of a good paper means paper should have a title, like a person should have a name, So for a person, like parents, so soon after, blessed by a child, the child will be given a name, right? So title, paper should have a title. While titling a paper, you should celebrate, like a naming ceremony. While naming my son, don't you think that I approach my good friends, I Google it and look for a good, name for that son, right? That's what is called title. Sometimes we call my son as Ashoka, Chakravarti, Ashoka, but he doesn't, he is not, he doesn't have any courage to go out of my residence after 6 p.m. Then no point in calling him as Ashoka Chakravarti, right? And the born kid is red in color, but I call him in Kannada Kariyaya. That's really nonsense. But the black, color, the kid is black in color, but I call him by name Kempaya. That should not happen. I mean, the name should suit the personality expected. I call him, right, something like Ashoka, then he must be dare enough in future. That's what is called title. I mean, title should convey clearly, concisely, precisely the entire content of the paper. That's very important. Don't hesitate celebrating it. Call your good friends, call your contemporary researchers, offer them a cup of tea and then present your work. Ask them to quote good titles, kind of good title. That's what is called titling. Abstract, I mean, a small paragraph highlighting full research findings of your work. Keywords, I mean, some index terms, powerful terminologies for the purpose of indexing them in the current technology. Then paper should have a section called introduction where you elaboratively explain the motivation, objectives, how did you do that, what did you do that, literature review, etc., right? Everything should be given. If somebody reads only introduction, should be able to know about what are you talking about in the subsequent paragraphs of your paper. Then have a second section called proposed, yours. What is yours? Your contribution. How did you do that, right? And so on. Then give a detailed steps on that, that's called algorithm. Detailed steps, completely, right? Modeling of that. And then experimentation. What data you collected, where did you collect, who has given you the data, what is the source of data, what is the contextual data, what is the primary data, how many times of experimentation you conducted, what are the results, do comparative analysis, discussion, discuss on your model, compare against others model, right? Canvas both pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages. Is not that you got always say that positively. It is also that your responsibility to comment negatively on your work. Discussion, and then come out with a conclusion. Conclusion is a paragraph where you find, clearly write what are the research findings. Is not only the past tense version of abstract. Generally, we do that, right? Abstract comes first, it is a present tense, whereas conclusion comes last, is a past tense. No, generally don't copy the statements of abstract in the conclusion. Conclusion is a research findings, clear findings. And then don't forget to put acknowledgement, thanking all the people who are responsible for success of your research, and then add up references, right? Okay, so these are the different sections of a good paper. So in thesis writing, in a similar sense, you can go with thesis should have an abstract, the way in which I explained. Thesis should have an introductory chapter, not necessarily one chapter, can be 2 chapters, where first chapter talks about preamble of your work, where a second chapter talks about, literature review of your field. So introduction section, I call it as. Number 1 is not a chapter number, it is a section number. Part of that thesis called section 1. And section 2, remaining contributory chapters, multiple, 5 number. Right? I have done 5 contributions which are self-independent, right? So you just draft a chapter for each contribution and see that each chapter is self-sustained. It has got sufficient content, and sequence them properly. Just don't think that the first chapter, contributory chapter, is supposed to be the outcome of your first year research, second year research, and so on. No. The last year research can be the first chapter. First year research could be the last chapter. But see that they have been placed in evolutionary way. Input, output of one could be the input for the next. That's the sequence. Or say that there's some logical relationship from chapter to chapter. And then finally have some section which is a comparative analysis. Compare your model with your own model if there are multiple models. Compare your own work with your own other work if there are multiple works, right? Compare your best work and a worst work with the existing in the literature, the worst work and a best work, right? Take from the literature at least 2, the best and the worst. Take from your at least 2, compare all the 4 and draw graphs and all and canvas both negative aspects of your work and positive aspect of your work. That's what is called comparative analysis. Both qualitatively and quantitatively you have to compare and discuss on your work. And future work, explore, do exploratory research over here. And based on your work, you have to explore problems for others to work on in the related direction. That's what is called future work. And complete system, if your work is towards productization, talk about complete. Otherwise, don't. This is an optional part. And come out with the conclusion. List out all the papers you published during your research period and put an appendix. Appendix is equally important, something which is very important for a reader to read first to understand your thesis content. But that's not yours. I mean, it is as important as my contribution in the thesis, but that is not mine, it is somebody's. If reader wants to understand and appreciate my contribution, reader should have some knowledge on that. But that's not mine, hence I don't keep it in a major part of my thesis. It comes under appendix, right? Appendix is one which is really required for readers to read before reading my thesis, but that is not my contribution. That's why it goes to appendix. So bibliography is a list of all references and different books and whatnot. Today, Google pages which you have read and which are responsible for you to become knowledgeable to solve your problem. And that's what is called detailed container called thesis writing, right? So introduction, compare. This is what I have explained now. So just go with this way of organizing. Look, unfortunately, after submitting your thesis, assume that no, I have submitted my thesis 20 years back, right? Now, if I read my thesis, I laugh at it. I laugh at it because some of the things are really good. I appreciate even today the drafting because I borrowed them from different sources, refined versions. But some of the chapters which were originally drafted by me first time, and if I now read with this knowledge, when compared to that, I've grown up like anything for the last 20 years. If I now read it, I laugh at it. I should have written this way. I appreciate, right? Telling that, this should have been drafted this way. Perhaps that would have been more appealing, right? Look at, friends, the part that is good in the thesis is not yours. The part that is good is not original. And the part that is original is not good in the thesis. You must feel it after submitting your thesis. I mean, submit your thesis, take up your viva. After viva, read through your thesis. After 1 year or 2 years, read through your thesis. Then you must have this feeling. The part which is really good to read in your thesis is not yours, borrowed from the literature. That's why it is good, because it is refined. Whereas others, which is original, it was first drafted. It cannot be expected to be as good as this because these are the refined versions. I'm sure that is original appears to be not good. You laugh at it, you look at it. You must have that feeling of reading your thesis after a few years. Otherwise, I say, you are not written your thesis. That's what is. And in continuation, look at, after review of the new manuscript, I mean, somebody has communicated a paper for publication to the journal. Review process is over. After review process is over, right? So editor says that I wrote, Dr. Smith is the author. Smith is the author who communicated the paper. Editor writes to the Dr. Smith, author, telling that we are happy to accept your superbly written paper, Dr. Smith, for publication. Editor says that, Dr. Smith, we are very happy to accept your superbly written paper. However, I just could not help adding, tell me who wrote it for you. Look at, the editor says, author, who wrote it for you? How come you are written so superbly written, paper, very good paper. Your paper is found to be good for accepted. It got accepted. But tell me who wrote it for you. Then Dr. Smith answers, author answers the editor, telling that I'm so happy that you found my paper acceptable. I'm very happy that my paper got accepted. But tell me who read it for you. Understand, please, here. Editor says that I'm very happy to accept your work, but tell me who wrote it for you. Whereas author says that I'm happy that you got it accepted, but tell me who read it for you. Have not read. I mean, here, though I have been writing research papers for the last 20 years, every paper has got its own style. Every paper differs from the different. I cannot maintain the same standard. Sometimes I write very weak paper, sometimes I write very good paper, because my contemporary co-researchers vary from time to time. Then editor says that, Dr. Guru, this time your paper is so good. Who helped you in writing? Then I say, Dr. So-and-so, I've been writing similar paper, but you must not have read my old papers, or you have not read current paper. That's why you're finding it different, right? Look, anyway, that difference should be there. I mean, that is what is called misunderstanding. I mean, there is always a gap in presenting things. Even while presenting orally, there is a gap in understanding. In that case, when you present things through writing, obviously there is a considerable gap, right? There is a considerable gap in understanding. That gap has got to be minimized. The Paka documentation, a powerful documentation, is the one which tries to minimize this gap of understanding between two, a reader and a writer. Please, when you write paper, don't write as an author, write as a reader. Right? When you write paper, write as a reader, because you're writing for readers. When you read paper, somebody's paper, don't read as an author, don't read as a reader, but read as an author. When you read it as an author, then you understand something in between lines also, something in between two sentences also. I mean, when you write a paper, don't write as an author, but write as a reader. When you read a paper, don't read as a reader, read as an author. That's my message to you by the end of my lecture. If I sum up my lecture, hope I am on at the right time to sum up my lecture. Friends, I started elaboratively explaining you the term called research from a different philosophical perception, different philosophical point of views. What is called research? What is research? Why it is recalled research, and so on. Importance of in the term called research, and types of research, basically two, right? Fundamental and applied. And then throughout my lecture, I elaboratively explained the significance or importance of research and touched upon three categories majorly: exploratory, constructive, and empirical type of research. And the entire process, starting from formulation of the topic and then generation of hypothesis till establishment of hypothesis and the documentation. And in between, I also narrated the responsibilities of both researchers and supervisors in the process of research, right? So if I now conclude with my way of defining research, research, R-E-S-E-A or C-H, research, or for reading a lot, like a donkey eating paper. A researcher reads paper. Donkey eats paper to stomach. A researcher reads paper into brain. Reading a lot like a donkey, I mean, every researcher should be a donkey-like animal, known for what? Strength, power, hardworking, known for hardworking. Donkey with a great patience, reading a lot for establishing yourself scientifically and engineeringly, right? Establishing scientific and engineering aptitude knowledge to have a good personal rapport. You must have your own personal rapport, not being a son of a great politician, not being a son-in-law of great politician, but being a great researcher for your contribution, right? You must have your own good personal rapport with a commitment to build up a healthy society for the development of Mother India. I am dedicated for the development of Mother India. I am responsible in creating healthy society. I am committed with my own personal rapport because I acquired my knowledge scientifically and also engineering aspect of I myself got established. Initially, I'm a donkey. No, I am the king of my area of research. I am the king of forest, where forest is my area of research. I am now lion-like animal. So I transformed a donkey into lion. And such a transformation process, which transforms a donkey into lion, a king of forest, a research topic, is what is called a research. Research is to transform a researcher. Researcher is initially nothing, but after research, researcher becomes something great. And such a transformation process is what is called research. I just stop now with a great thanks to one and all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Right?
Thank you.
If you have
Thank
any
you, sir.
queries, I would love to attend.
Thank you.
So,
Yes,
if you
sir.
have any questions, I think you can interact with Professor Guru sir and clarify your doubts. Anybody? Okay, so
Hello,
yes,
sir.
yes.
Being a mathematics teacher, can we take a research on a general topic, sir? Like
Why not? Why not? Why not? But you cannot get a PhD in mathematics.
yeah,
Right.
And a doctoral, PG doctoral degree, sir?
Postdoctoral you can do. So if you have already completed your PhD in mathematics, you are qualified for mathematics related job, Now nobody can stop you to do research on any topic of your interest. You do research, publish your work, get yourself, reputed across because of your contribution to general topic. That's really wonderful. If mathematicians come forward and seeing that mathematics is well exploited for different domains, that's really good. That's really good. You can contribute a lot to commerce. You can contribute a lot to economics, a lot to social sciences, a lot to computer science for that matter, right? Sure. Welcome.
Which is applicable, that I want.
Certainly. Yes, certainly.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Sir, actually, I want a suggestion from you. Can a teacher be a good researcher? Because always I relate with the researchers or the scientists who work in the research labs where they can give lot of time and where they can do a very good research with all good facilities. But as a teacher, along with our teaching classes, as an academician, along with the research, sometimes I feel
Yes.
not
I understand your problem. I understand your question.
yeah.
Look, somebody who is completely 100% dedicated for research, will contribute more in a year. A teacher responsibility is on training students, right? 50% of the effort or 80% of the effort is dedicated for educating the pupils. That's our great responsibility, right? Still, if we can find good time without any compromisation, probably instead of contributing 2 papers a year, at least you can contribute 1 good paper a year, right? And the advantage for a teacher is that you are surrounded by young brains. You make use of their effort and motivate them, fit them into the right track, give them a couple of assignments, ask them to solve it. But whereas in research laboratory, scientists are not supported by any young brain, right? You are with a team. You are supposed to be the leader. If you motivate 3 students of graduation who are extremely good at the related aspect, then you are not alone. You are 4, right? You are 4. Then your time becomes 4 times of your original, much bigger than what the scientist has got, right? Okay, that is an advantage for a teacher. Okay, teacher is ultimate, madam. Don't worry about that.
Thank you.
But the only thing we should not compromise for the quality. That's very important. Okay, that's your mindset. So don't think of contributing 2 papers a year, at least 1 a year. Or you take 2 years for 1 paper, but see that quality wise it is reputed. Then obviously industry people will come to you, even that research scientist will come to you. You are with a great knowledge, madam. Please teach me that, right? That's more important. Teacher is the one which creates all other job. Teaching is the job which creates all other job. All other job, any job for that matter, is the one created by a teacher, right? We are the creators. We are like Brahmas, don't worry. Okay, but only the mindset. We should never compromise for quality of research. It's not that 10 years I'll have to contribute 100 papers. No, foolish thing. 10 years, only 2 papers. I said no, Pythagorean wrote only 1 paper. Newton's wrote only 3 papers, good papers, right? That's very important. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, sir,
One
sir, Vinayak.
Yes, please.
Yes, sir. Sir, Indian government is investing huge amount for the research, and even Indian scientists are producing the high impact factor journals. But still, we did not get any Nobel Prize in the recent days. Why this type of is happening?
See, research is not to get a Nobel Prize. That's number 1. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Number
Sir,
2.
I have one.
Number 2. The one who has done considerably good work must not have documented it properly, must not have submitted application for Nobel Prize. Hope you understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And number 3,
Sir, I have one.
like you go to any village, you find tremendously talented students, but most of them join police department. Right? Only few people take up a UPSC examination, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, that's the mindset. Most of the Indians are not with a great mindset towards working for Nobel Prizes. Are you understanding me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But Indian government is really sacrificing, really contributing a lot as far as finance is concerned. They have got
Yes.
reserved. But
Yes, sir.
still, it is a mindset of the public to take it up in a positive way, right? But Nobel Prize is only for few subjects, not for mathematics, not for computer science. Okay, good.
Yes.
I appreciate your question, but still, getting Nobel Prize should not be the attitude of a good researcher. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Thanks.
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
Hello, sir.
yes,
Sir,
yes, sir.
hello, sir. I have one query, sir.
One by one, please. One by one.
Sir, usually researchers getting fund. Hello.
Tell me, sir.
Sir, is it audible, sir?
Yes.
Sir, usually researchers getting funds from the funding agencies, and they are conducting research, and finally they can publish their results in a reputed journal, sir. Getting funds from the funding agencies.
Okay.
Sir, in some people, some researchers, they are not getting funds from the funding agencies. They can conduct with their own money and they can publish. Is there any difference, sir, for publishing the research papers?
No difference.
Is it authenticated?
Yes.
Okay.
Funding is not mandatory to come out with your ideas and publish your work. Okay. Funding is altogether different. It is a support, a kind of support for you. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
We
Professor
can publish.
Kannada professor wanted to ask
reputed
something.
journals.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Tell me.
Yes, sir. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಕನ್ನಡದಿಂದ ಬಂದಿರತಕ್ಕಂತವರು
Uh-huh.
ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೋದಾ ಸರ್?
ಖಂಡಿತ ಹೇಳಿಪ್ಪ.
ಕನ್ನಡದಿಂದ ಬಂದಿರತಕ್ಕಂತವರು ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಶೋಧನೆ ಏನಿದೆ ಪಂಪ ರನ್ನಪ್ಪನ್ ಅವರೆಲ್ಲ ಬರೆದಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತ ಕೃತಿಗಳು ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ.
Okay.
ಅದರ್ವೈಸ್ ನಾವು ಯಾವ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಸಂಶೋಧನೆ ಕೈಗೊಳ್ಳುವ, ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯದ ಆಚೆ ನಾವು ಕನ್ನಡದವರು ಹೇಗೆ ಸಂಶೋಧನೆ ಕೈಗೊಳ್ಬಹುದು? ಇದನ್ನ
ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಓಪಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ರು ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಅವ್ರು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಇತಿಹಾಸದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಸರ್ ಅಂತ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನೀವು ಅಶೋಕ ಚಕ್ರವರ್ತಿ, ಅಕ್ಬರ್ ಅಲಿ, ಮೊಹಮ್ಮದ್ ಬಿನ್ ತೊಗಲಕ್ನೇ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡೋ ಬದಲು ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನಿಕ್ ಇತಿಹಾಸ ಹೇಗಿದೆ ನೋಡಿ ಬನ್ನಿ, ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ದು ಇತಿಹಾಸ ಹೇಗಿದೆ ನೋಡಿ ಬನ್ನಿ, ಇವತ್ತು ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀನಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ರದ್ದು ಇತಿಹಾಸ ಹೇಗಿದೆ ನೋಡಿ ಬನ್ನಿ. ಯಾಕೆ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಬಂದು ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ವಿ? ಇದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಇತಿಹಾಸ ಸೃಷ್ಟಿ ಮಾಡಿ. ದಟ್ ಗಿವ್ಸ್ ಎ ನ್ಯೂ ಡೈಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಟು ಯುವರ್ ಅಪ್ರೋಚ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಈ ಕನ್ನಡದವರು ನೀವು ಭೈರಪ್ಪನವರ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯವನ್ನ ಕುರಿತು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಅನಾಲಿಸಿಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಕೃತಿ ಮಾಡೋ ಬದಲು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಗುರು ಅವರ ಗಣಕ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನದ ಮೇಲಿನ ಸಂಶೋಧನೆಗಳ ಕುರಿತು ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಲೇಖನ ಮಾಡಿ, ಅದನ್ನ ನೀವು ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಜರ್ನಲ್ಲೇ ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು.
ಓಕೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸರ್, ಓಕೆ ಸರ್, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮ ವೈಯಕ್ತಿಕ ಸಂಶೋಧನೆಗೆ ಓಕೆ, ಬಟ್ ಈಗ ಸದ್ಯ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಅದು ಆಗ್ಬಹುದಾ?
ಅದು ಬರ್ತದೆ, ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಜರ್ನಲ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಕ್ಲೇಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ನೀವು. ಟಾಪ್ ಜರ್ನಲ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಒಂದು, ನೀವು ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಪೇಪರ್ಸ್ ಬರೆಯೋ ಆಥರ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ ಹೇಗಿದೆ ನೋಡಿ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ? ನೀವು ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯಾತ್ಮಕವಾಗಿ ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕು ನನ್ನ ಲೇಖನಗಳನ್ನ. ನೀವು ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯಾತ್ಮಕವಾಗಿ ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ನೋಡ್ಬೇಡಿ. ಈಗ ನನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಲೇಖನದಿಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಲೇಖನಿಗೆ ಒಂದು 100 ಲೇಖನಗಳು ತಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಈ ಗುರು ಅವರಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ ಎಂತಿದೆ ಅಂತ ನೋಡಿ.
ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯಿಕ ಅಂಶಗಳು
ಹೆಂಗ್ ಕಾಣ್ತೇವೆ ನೋಡಿ. ಇವರು ಅಲ್ಟಿಮೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಸೈಂಟಿಸ್ಟ್ ಆದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ಇವರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ ಇದೆ, ಇರ್ಲೇಬೇಕಲ್ವಾ? ಅದರ್ವೈಸ್ ಇರ್ಲೇಬೇಕು, ಅದರ್ವೈಸ್ ಲಿಂಗ್ವಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಆಗಿರೋಲ್ಲ ನನ್ನ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್, ರೈಟ್? ಬಟ್ ಅದನ್ನ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮಂತವ್ರ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಬೇಕಲೇಬೇಕು. ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಟೀಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಇನ್ವಾಲ್ವ್ಡ್, ರೈಟ್? ಈ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ಸ್ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಬಂತು, ಅದ್ರ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ ಹೇಗಿದೆ ನೋಡಿ, ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನಿಕ್ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ ಗಮನಿಸಿ. ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಕಮ್ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್. ಟುಡೇ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಹೇಳೋದು ಸರ್, ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ದ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಇಂಟರ್ಡಿಸಿಪ್ಲಿನರಿ. ಡಿಸಿಪ್ಲಿನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮರ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಒಂದೊಂದು ಕಂಫರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಡಿ, ನಿಮ್ಮದೇ ಗುಂಪು ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಡಿ. ಅದು ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಹೇಳೋದೇ ಹಾಗೆ. ಒಬ್ಬ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಸೈಂಟಿಸ್ಟ್, ಒಬ್ಬ ಮ್ಯಾಥಮ್ಯಾಟಿಕ್ಸ್, ಮತ್ತೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ಎಕನಾಮಿಸ್ಟ್, ಒಬ್ಬ ಕಾಮರ್ಸ್, ಒಬ್ಬ ಕನ್ನಡಿಗ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿ. ಹೌದು, ಆಗ ಸೊಸೈಟಿಗೆ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡದು ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ನೊಬೆಲ್ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ವಿನ್ನರ್ಸ್ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಇದು ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ರು ಕ್ವಶನ್ಗೆ. ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ನೊಬೆಲ್ ಪ್ರೈಸಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರವ್ರು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಅವರು ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಬೇರೆ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಕೆಮಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಓದಿರೋನ್ ಬಂದು ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡು ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನೊಬೆಲ್ ತಗೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾನೆ. ಮ್ಯಾಥಮ್ಯಾಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಸ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡೋನ್ ಬಂದು ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾನೆ, ನೊಬೆಲ್ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಓದಿರ್ತಾನೆ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಬಂದು ಮ್ಯಾಥಮೆಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ನು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಮ್ಯಾಥಮೆಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೊಬೆಲ್ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಏನೋ ಅವಾರ್ಡ್ ಸಿಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ಅವಾರ್ಡು. ಈ ಇಂಟರ್ಡಿಸಿಪ್ಲಿನ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ನಾವು ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ಟು ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ಜಂಪ್ ಆಗ್ತೀವೋ ಆವಾಗ ನಮ್ದು ಎಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ.
ಆದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ನಾನು ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟೆಡ್ ಓದಿದ್ದು ಕನ್ನಡ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ, ಇವನ್ PhD ವರೆಗೂ ಕೂಡ. ಅದ್ರ ನಾಲೆಜ್ ಹೇಗೆ ನಾನು ಪಡ್ಕೊ?
ಅದೇ ಮಾಡೋದ್ ತಪ್ಪು ಸರ್. ನಾವೀಗ ಅದೇ ನಾವ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಿರೋದು. ಈಗ CBCS ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬ ಹುಡುಗ ಕನ್ನಡ ಓದ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಆಸಕ್ತಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅವನನ್ನ ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಿಕ್ಯಾಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೀವಿ. ನಾನು ಮ್ಯಾಥಮೆಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಓದ್ಬೇಕಿತ್ತು. ಟು ಬಿ ಫ್ರಾಂಕ್ ವಿತ್ ಯು, ಐ ವಾಸ್ ಫ್ಯಾಸಿನೇಟೆಡ್ ಟುವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾಥಮೆಟಿಕ್ಸ್. ನನಗೆ PUC ಬಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಮ್ಯಾಥಮೆಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಓದ್ದೆ, PCMB ತಗೊಂಡೆ. ಡಿಗ್ರಿಗೆ ಬಂದೆ, ಮ್ಯಾಥಮೆಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಸೇರ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಫಿಸಿಕ್ಸ್, ಮ್ಯಾಥಮೆಟಿಕ್ಸ್, ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಇತ್ತು, ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ನಂಗೆ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಹೊರಟೋಯ್ತು. ಬಟ್ ಐ ವಾಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಇನ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್. BSc ಓದೋನಿಗೆ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಅನ್ನ ಯಾಕೆ ನೀವು ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಿಕ್ಯಾಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ರಿ? ನನಗೆ ಐ ವಾಂಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕಾಂಬಿನೇಷನ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಫಿಸಿಕ್ಸ್, ಮ್ಯಾಥಮೆಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್. ನನಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿದ್ದೆ ಅದು. ನನಗೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಆಸ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್, ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಮ್ಯಾಥಮೆಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಫಿಸಿಕ್ಸ್, ಇಲ್ಲ ಮ್ಯಾಥಮೆಟಿಕ್ಸ್, ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್, ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ತಗೋಬೇಕಿತ್ತು ನಾನು. ಇವತ್ತು ಐ ಫೈಂಡ್ ರಿಯಲಿ ಟ್ರೆಮೆಂಡಸ್ ಯೂಸೇಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಇನ್ ಮೈ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್, ನಾಟ್ ಫಿಸಿಕ್ಸ್. ನಾನು ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಅಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ನನಗೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ, ಈಗ ಫಿಸಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಅವತ್ತೇ ನನಗೇನಾದ್ರೂ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾಥಮೆಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ, ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್, ರೈಟ್? ಲೈಕ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಿಕ್ಯಾಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ. ಅವ್ನು ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಒಂದು ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಎಲ್ಗೋ ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆ ಸೇರಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇನ್ನು ಮಿಕ್ಕದನ್ನ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಿಕ್ಯಾಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್. ಇದು ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರಿಯಲಿ ಮೇಜರ್ pitfalls in our education system. ಅದನ್ನ ಓವರ್ಕಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು CBCS ಮಾತನಾಡ್ತಿರೋದು ಇವತ್ತು. ಚಾಯ್ಸ್ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್, ರೈಟ್? Take your own choice. You want mathematics, chemistry, and English, take it. You want Kannada, mathematics, physics, take it. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ?
ಎಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿಯೂ ಕೂಡ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ
ನಿನಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಕಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸೆಲ್ ಆಗಪ್ಪ, ನಿನಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಕಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸೆಲ್ ಆಗೋ, ರೈಟ್?
If your choice.
It's your choice.
Okay, sir.
ಅದು ಚಾಯ್ಸ್ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತನಾಡ್ತಿರೋದು ಸರ್.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Fine then, thank you, thanks.
Okay, any more questions? Okay, if there are no questions, it is time to wind up the session. And so far we were listening to Professor DS Guru. It was a wonderful and a thought-provoking session for all of us on the topic research and documentation. Sir has addressed a lot of issues and points on research, the types of research, and in fact, he explained a lot of other dimensions of a research with very interesting examples, real life examples, and also visualizations. I hope each one of you have taken the ideas what he has presented throughout his lecture, and you have enjoyed the entire session. And I'm hoping that this session will definitely help each of us to carry out a good research and enhances our research capabilities in our future endeavors. So on behalf of HRDC and behalf of all the participants, I wholeheartedly thank Professor D.S. Guru sir for his excellent, wonderful, and thought-provoking lecture in this session. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, one and all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
So,
I think we should leave.
ಯಾರಿಲ್ಲ, ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಹಲೋ ಸರ್, ಹಲೋ ಹಲೋ,
Yes.
ಸೆಷನ್ ಮುಗೀತು ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ ನಂಜುಂಡಯ್ಯ ಸರ್ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ.
I think that session's over now.
Hello. Hello. Hello, sir.